afraid is understandable, it does nothing but torment us. Fear is the devil's favorite tool in the toolbox of schemes he uses to steal, kill, and destroy God's good plan for us. He uses it to prevent our progress in every area of our lives. He uses it to hold us back, to get us to run away from things we should confront, and simply to cause us emotional suffering. People allow fear to control them to varying degrees, but we can decide not to let it control us at all in any area, for God gave us a spirit not of fear, but of power and love and self-control. Part 1. Understanding Fear. Charles Stanley said basically there are two paths you can walk, faith or fear. It's impossible to simultaneously trust God and not trust God. Lavandria tells us her story about choosing God's Word over the stronghold of fear. She said, during my early childhood, I had a speech impediment that made me feel pretty insecure. One day, my third grade teacher made me walk to the front of the classroom and then ridiculed me in front of my classmates. That was decades ago, but Satan still uses that memory to trigger anxiety attacks in my mind. On any given day, whatever I am doing becomes difficult if I'm struggling with anxiety. So I really appreciate Joyce's teaching in Do It Afraid. Two scriptures I've come to depend on are Philippians 4:6. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Him who strengthens me. Recently, my boss asked me to speak candidly in front of my peers about the challenges we are facing in the midst of a major systems overhaul in the office. For me, it would have been easier to bow out gracefully and keep my thoughts to myself, but I knew that God wanted me to follow through. It's like He was saying, if you'll just be open and honest about your frustrations, then I will open doors that will lead to positive changes. I went through with it, I did it afraid, and the responses I received were positive. But later that night I was so anxious that I couldn't get to sleep. Attacks from the enemy were coming left and right. What if my feedback wasn't valuable? What if I'm just causing more problems at work? What I needed to do was agree with God's Word and start speaking it out loud to drown out all those negative noises. I will not be anxious because God hears my prayers. I can do anything I have to do through Christ who gives me strength. God is for me and not against me. And greater is He who is in me than he who is in the world. God's Word is life for me. It keeps me going forward when on the inside I feel like retreating. Chapter 1. It's time to make a choice. This day I call the heavens and the earth as witnesses against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose life, so that you and your children may live. That's Deuteronomy 30:19. God has a good plan for our lives, but the devil also has a plan, and it is not a good one. The Apostle John explained this simply saying, the thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. God's plan is received through placing our faith in what He has said to us in His Word, and the devil's plan is received through believing his lies. The devil is a liar, he is the father of lies, and the truth is not in him. God has given us free will, which means we can do what we want to do. We have choices, and each one we make brings a result. God said in Deuteronomy 30:19 that He gives us two choices, life or death, blessing or curse. Then He even told us which one to choose. He said to choose life, so that you and your children may live. Even though He told us which one to choose, He still requires us to make the choice. God's good plan for our lives won't just automatically happen, and neither will the devil's evil plan. We must choose one or the other. You might think, well, surely nobody would intentionally choose the devil's evil plan for their life. But people do choose his plan through a lack of knowledge regarding